Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I just wanted to take one more quick look at the Sims Create a Sim demo that we have been given to play around with until the release of The Sims 4. I do believe it is September 3rd? It's the day after Labor Day. I know it's the day after Labor Day because I'm all like, why wouldn't they release it on Labor Day? But I guess they're just too, they are so cool, it needs to be during school. So I just wanted to quickly do just a fast video going in here talking about what I like, what I'm not so keen on in terms of the new features, what I really enjoy about just creating The Sims, and possibly just kind of talking about how I'm hoping that The Sims gameplay is gonna go, and then contrast that later, of course, with the actuality. It's gonna be kind of funny. So, I mean, this is a demo, aesthetics-wise, background, stuff like that. Whatever, it works, right? Like, I don't know how much of the UI they're going to change. The background probably will completely change. I don't know, like, how much of these icons are going to change or whatever, but right now they're working, they're functioning, they're all easy to find, they're kind of bubbly, and they have great animations, and sure, why not, right? As per usual, we have our basic gender binary in The Sims, which in itself is its own problem. I mean, just from my worldly experience, I know that gender is not very binary, and The Sims has yet to catch up with reality as much as it loves to think that it is a simulation game, but we're gonna just keep our fingers crossed for potential kind of more spectrum on the gender front. We obviously, as we can see just from the heads-up display, this is the user interface. We have children, teens, young adults, it looks like adults, and seniors. I've heard rumors that there are no more toddlers in The Sims 4. I don't know what that means. Like, for instance, they could have just taken the infant section of The Sims and made it just more robust, I guess. Made that kind of like a longer life stage, in which case, yeah, sure, get rid of a life stage. It's completely useless anyways, right? I mean, hell, I'd be fine if they just, kind of like how they used to have before, where they meshed together young adult and adults. It was totally cool with me. I understand why they separate them, because they do expansion packs that deal with young adults and adults in separate ways, but whatever. In terms of all this stuff, it's great. Like, I think the thing that is really just killing it for me right now is these walk animations. I mean, I don't know if this is going to be the total number of walks we're going to get with the package game. I'm totally fine if it is. This is a really great number of walks. You can get a lot of personality. Like, I'm looking forward to a lot of personality in the animation. I know that this game is supposed to be a lot more mood-based, a lot more emotional, personality-based for your Sims, so this immediately, like, just, goes straight to it, right? Like, how can you get more of a sense of a person than from the way that they hold themselves when they're just walking down the street? If I saw someone walking down the street like this, I'd be like, oh man, she's in it. She's got it, right? Default walk style. She's just got places to go. Swiggity swag. She likes how she looks, right? Even the tough walk, I love it. Like, it just has so much personality to it. So I'm super down with that. I love the voices, because the voices were always confusing to me in The Sims. I don't know about you guys, but like, I was always like, I had to. Well, I mean, I learned this in, I think, science or whatever, like the difference between these two waveforms. But in The Sims, they never, like Sims 2, 3, it never really kind of corresponded to what I understood these waveforms meant. But now, like, just being able to hear the difference between, like, a sweet voice, a melodic voice, a lifted voice, and it seems like there's a lot more variation. And again, if we're going for, like, the whole personality is super important in this game, great, right? Like, this is a great functionality to have. Even though they don't really speak a language that we understand. Unless you're, like, super nerding and you learn a little bit in Simlish. Not judging. Totally cool. Go for it. People learn Dova, like the Dova language from Skyrim. all the more power to you, nerdlings. I love you. Then, of course, we get into like the massive, super important part of the personalities that are gonna end up showing up in the game. And I think that I'm just gonna say, because there's like one hanging here and it seems like they can make a grid, I think there's gonna be more. I've got my fingers crossed for more. More in Sims games is always better. It creates diversity. I know that they try to keep the games relatively packaged in a way that, you know, is good to play on a variety of different computers, right? You know, they're definitely not going like the Far Cry route where you have to have like a massive beast of a machine to even open it, right? Like, you can even just tell by like, you know, the level of detailed textures, which I'm sure will change with the packaged game, but just like the kind of cartoonishness that the game has. They're definitely going for like broad appeal as opposed to specific PC gamers that just go nuts with their hardware. Great for me. I'm not made of money. I have very midline hardware right now that I'm looking to upgrade, and, you know, just kind of scraping together the money for that. And I still want to play The Sims, so good, do it. I love the descriptions of these, and I think the thing that really just blew my mind when I first opened this was when I went to choose an aspiration, like in The Sims 3, it immediately gave me 2 options, some of them even like up to 3 options of what kind of like subcategories you would want within these overarching aspirations. And this just like, I love the thought of this in terms of like an actual playable game, because it's like, oh, I'm assuming Athletic is gonna have a little bit more. It just blew my mind, because you can have a bunch of Sims with like being deviants, for instance, but they're gonna be completely different deviants depending on which subcategory they choose, and that creates for a lot of really interesting gameplay and like emergent mechanics or dynamics, essentially. Like the dynamics of the gameplay is just going to be that much more. It's exponential, right? So I want to actually pick a knowledge one, because I haven't picked one yet. Renaissance wants to be good at anything. This was one of my favorite lifetime aspirations in The Sims 3, was Renaissance Sims. Book smart and handy. Wants everything to do with computers. Let's do a computer whiz. And then within the aspirations, you can, you know, you can kind of see it's connecting here, and, you know, here are your building block traits. And I don't know if 3 is the maximum. Again, if it were 3, I'd be totally happy with that. That's great. If they go with the traditional 5 that was in The Sims 3, also great. You know, 4, whatever. I'm happy that there are traits at all. And, you know, again, I'm assuming there's probably going to be a lot more. There's a lot of space in here to add more traits. And in particular, like, the hobby traits seem a little short. But nonetheless, these are like some really very cool things, you know, like chibi. I like the way they've renamed them. I like the way the animations just kind of bob around when you mouse over them. They're really cute. They're hotheads. Oh man, she looks kind of like the difficult Amy Garcia. And then to the meat and potatoes of just how you look, this is like, I just can't get over how amazing this is all put together. Like, the hair is a little cartoonish. I'm fine with that. Like, I don't need to have absolutely amazing, beautiful, perfect textures on the things that I play. In the end, well, for me, it's a means to an end, you know, like, I just want playability and you know, some options, and to be able to kind of get the personality of a character. They don't have to be like hyper realistic or hyper beautiful or model-esque. You know, I actually really like playing characters that kind of have a little bit of variation, a little ugliness, I guess. This is like the artist in me. I love the interest in, I guess, what people would consider traditionally ugly. Not even traditionally, just contemporarily ugly. The presets are great. There's a ton of presets. I have heard that there is no create a style. For me, okay, you know, creative style is really cool. I'm hoping that this is going to open a lot of doors for custom content, for people to say, hey, you know, let's, if you know, like for instance in these here, when you select hats, they have these color combinations down here, and maybe, you know, custom content creators are going to end up creating a lot of these types of skins, and I'm super cool with that, right? Like, I felt like The Sims 3 was really lacking in terms of custom content. I was very disappointed in how difficult it was to just maintain custom content, find custom content, as compared to The Sims 2, which I played a hell of a lot of and really enjoyed. You can zoom in and out when you're doing face and hair and all that kind of stuff. My favorite part of all of it is the click in zoom, right? Or the click in and basically essentially changing the character's face, kind of like molding silly putty, you know, spinning them around, pulling on things, pushing on things, really getting a good look for what you want. The racial range, like just in terms of being able to get your characters to look, you know, exceptionally multiracial, is a huge plus. You can get some really diverse characters, just like, you know, pulling it straight to the extremes, like getting into detail editing. You know, you can really just pull on things and get like a lot of variation just by with a few mouse clicks. Like, it's amazing, like how fast this is. And, you know, learning the symbols was really easy. They're really intuitive. Like, you can get like a huge range. Surprisingly, like, you know, I can just kind of move them in this 360 motion and get them into different areas. It's so easy and it's so fast. And it's like immediately, like, if you were to just skip back in this video to the original model that I started with, it's completely different, right? And that combined with a couple of presets, and, you know, you're good to go. I do wish there was a hotkey to get into detail mode. I could deal with a hotkey. That would be really actually kind of nice. But I'm okay with clicking. It's not a deal breaker, you know? Just like, it's like almost like silly putty. You're really molding. You can pull the eyes forward and back and up and down. Like, immediately I'm just getting like a huge amount of variation, and you just do this with the whole body. It's great. Like, it's so cool, right? Like, you can get different body types. Like, look at that. Like, look at how muscular this lady is. It's just like definitely not having to worry about, you know, even just like the female characters being so stuck in like a same bodiness, where everyone is just a slight variation of like essentially what is considered like magazine beautiful. Like, I can get real pear-shaped bodies, which is just absolutely like amazing to me. Because for me, like, I'm a pear-shape. That's what I am. And the lack of being able to do that in video games, like, disturbs me. Like, that's all I have to do. I just have to pull and prod a little. You know, I can give her like thinner thighs, but like fatter calves. Like, oh my god, just the fact that I can give her calves that like essentially she doesn't really have that much of an ankle. Like, it's so versatile. This is like, for me, this is the seller, right? Like, I could just spend hours and hours and hours just pulling and poking and prodding these Sims, and I'll do it. Like, I'm gonna finish this video after this, and that's what I'm gonna do, is just poke and prod all these Sims. And it's great. Like, this slider here, you can take that body shape and add more fat to it or less fat to it. You can add more muscle to that body shape or less muscle to that body shape.
Barange.
I mean, there is, I don't know how... I haven't yet tried very much with the neck. Yeah, you can get kind of a thicker neck. Very cool. The clothing is the clothing. I'm assuming that they're saving a lot of this for the actual game. It's great, the stuff that I see so far, but it's a little limited. Again, with the lack of creative style, that's very interesting to me, how that's gonna work. Creative style was such a big selling point for them. I feel like in the actual Sims 3, that for them not to have it now seems kind of funny. It seems a little bit like a regression, but you know, they could be replacing it with other options. So I'm just gonna like defer. I'm just gonna be like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna trust in Maxis to do the right thing. And again, it's so fast. You just click on what you want. Like, I just want to change your hair to go with this outfit, and so I just click it and done. Right? Like, you can kind of get a sense of her different hairstyles. Zoom out. You know, let's say I want to do makeup. I just click there, grab myself the makeup, and just go play with it. Right? Like, it's great. It's so fast. You know, you can be like, just focus on eyes. I mean, the one thing that I'm a little critical of, and I'm gonna say this like right off, is sometimes I don't know what it is I'm moving. Like, it has no name. I don't quite understand. Like, for instance, I go into the eyes here, and I zoom into detailed mode. Like, I know that some things, like, yeah, for instance, once I get to the top of the eye, there's some areas that I'm a little confused on. Like, can I pull out this eyelid, for instance? Yeah, I totally am pulling out the eyelid. There may actually be a hotkey to get into detailed mode that I don't know what it is. So yeah, I mean, that's a bit of a criticism when it comes to just dealing with, you know, what am I clicking on? How is it changing it? In detailed mode, it is much different than in non-detailed mode. In like detailed mode, that's where I'm like getting into, like, again, the details, the fine details. And outside of detailed mode is where you're dealing with kind of like the more overarching stuff. Right, like, you can't really do a lot of size editing. Doesn't seem like. Where's the size for the mouth? Yeah, it seems like I can't really go thinner than that. And that's a little wider. Yeah, I mean, so that's my biggest criticism, is that sometimes I just don't know what I'm changing. But, you know what, whatever, it's fun, it's great, I'll just play around with it till I figure it out. No big deal. I mean, it's kind of a problem that the game is set up to fix. And so, I mean, it seems like from what I can see, there's gonna be, well, I know that there are no swimsuits, which apparently is a big deal for a lot of people. And I understand that, that's fair. You know, pools have always been kind of a staple, a mainstay of this game, and I understand the concept of not having that seems a little odd. Regardless of which, though, for me, the pools aren't a deal breaker. They're not a deal breaker for me, but, you know, you can tell right away that we're probably not going to have them. We don't have any swimsuit option. Unless they add it. I don't know, maybe they're going to try and sell an expansion. Who knows? Unless they add it, it doesn't seem like it's going to be happening. Which is what it is. But it does seem like there's going to be a little bit more emphasis on parties. On social gatherings, social events. Those are cute. Oh man, now I'm just getting sucked into the clothing. Sorry about that. Yeah, no, I just like, hey, I want to change the socks, I want to change the dress, I want to change the shoes. You just click on it. That's all you gotta do. You just gotta click. It's just clickety clickety. So, let's get into some... I mean, everything that I can criticize potentially about the actual game itself is all speculation at this point. No one has played it. It's not available. I've seen a couple of gameplay trailers online, specifically from the developers, which, you know, I'm sure it's great, but it is also from the developers in different, you know, levels of development, showing off very specific features in a very specific way, so it's not necessarily the most, you know, game flow intensive. However, there are a couple of things that I guess I would be remiss if I didn't talk about. No story progression. All of the rumors point to the fact that there is no story progression, which is, if you don't know, in The Sims 3, basically that meant your neighbors grew and had families and would die and basically progressed with your Sims, and I really liked that. That was a huge factor for me, was that, you know, I could have two Sims that had a fling, and then like 2 generations later their children could have a fling or whatever, and I didn't have to play all of them. It would just happen organically. And I don't know, there has to be something to replace story progression. There has to be something that I'm missing here that I haven't seen, that I haven't played. It has to be there. I'm sure it's gonna be great, but until I see it, I'm a bit skeptical of not having story progression. That was really exciting for me to have. Thing that I'm kind of rumorish, I've seen in some, like, I guess it would be kind of rumors, but I've seen it in a couple of gameplay videos, is I really like how mood-based everything is. Your Sim changes everything they do based on the moods that they have. Like, it's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic, and I'm really excited about that. I think that that's going to be really I just think that's going to make the game, and if anything is going to make up for lack of story progression, it's going to be basically just exploring how much there is to do. Man, she's got an ass. How much basically how much that is going to affect everything. Totally, like, widening. Whatever. Big bottom girls, you make the rocking world go round. Oh man, I'm just really excited about this game. So I should be playing The Sims 4 when it comes out the day after Labor Day. If you haven't seen it yet, I have a stream. It's over on Twitch. It's not fancy or anything, it's literally bare bones. I don't even have descriptions or anything up. It's just twitch.tv/Anish Shah. It's the same as my YouTube handle. If you want to see me stream, that's where I'm at. I'll link it in the description, of course. I should on the Labor Day be streaming The Sims 4, depending on the technical setup. Hopefully everything will work out just fine. And I should be playing that, I'm hoping, all day. And then the videos should be up shortly after that. So, it's coming. I'm excited. I hope you're excited too. I'm looking forward to, you know, sharing. I guess this will be the first time I ever do a game at lunch on both stream and YouTube, and I'm very excited to do it. I'm just very happy to have the time to do it. So if you do want to see more of my gameplay videos or whatever, please add some likes, add some comments. Tell me hey, you know what, I'm gonna critique video games. Feel free to critique me. What do you like? What do you not like? What would you like to see more of? Etc. 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 I hope you enjoyed this little bit of a review, and I hope that you're as excited as I am about playing The Sims 4. You can pre-order it now from Origin. Not on Steam yet, but Origin. Alright, I'll buy it. And I hope you have a good night.